Oh, I came to understand why he'd come and why he'd stayed. I think he was also in a transition period after Burning Man. He had the time and the opportunity to go and work, and I think something in it struck a chord in him as well as it did in me, that we felt kind of compelled to go down there and work and help. And Richard is someone with a huge skill set that is just completely invaluable. I mean, I wouldn't say that things wouldn't have happened if he had not been there, but his ability to run those machines is the reason why the machines came. And he, his, as I said, his skill set is something that was just a huge asset to their group. And I think the reason that he ended up staying was similar to the reason that I did, is suddenly, you feel yourself locked in and people become dependent on you, and you realize that that you're sort of, he was, I would say he was functioning as the team leader there as I was in my group. And so once that happens to you, you feel responsible for everyone around you, and you feel responsible for the group continuing. And when I ended up leaving, my camp broke, and everyone else left as well, which I think was the similar thing with the burners camp. I think they reached a point where they said, it's time, we need to go ahead and consider moving on, and we've done what we can here at this stage. And I there is one thing that I will impress upon anyone who ever desires to do anything like this. It is obviously, an incredibly eye-opening and rewarding experience, but it's also one of the highest burnout rates of any kind of job or program that you'll ever do in your life. The burnout factor's humongous, and people just lose it, and it's exhausting. And especially when you reach that realization that you've been working like this that hard for that long, and you look around you and it looks like nothing has changed. So it's very frustrating.
You mentioned about how Richard kind of found himself in this position. How did he's not a trained volunteer coordinator, and I don't think really has ever worked with volunteers in his life. How did he handle that pressure, and how did it get to him?
I think that the people in his camp would speak better to that than I would, but I think probably he, as lots of us did, internalized a lot of that pressure. And that's so when more social and pleasurable things started to happen, that probably relieved some of it. But I think his work that he had done at Burning Man, organizing individuals with the heavy machinery, lent to his ability to be able to talk to and communicate with people. And I think his idea of a morning meeting and everything was really a very sensible one. Getting everybody together every day and saying, this is our agenda, this is what we're going to do, let's have some feedback, let's chat about it. I think he was very wise to try to include everybody and give everybody a chance to find projects on their own as well. And I think it was a good relief for a lot of people in the Burners group that they started to collaborate with us on some of the projects. And the playground was a great example. I think the girls just did a magnificent job on that, and I think it was really fun for them to do something different. And that was one of the nice things that I was able to do, was pull out a lot of different kinds of projects in Hancock County after a certain period of time. I mean, we did chiefly clean and gut the houses, which really is the shittiest job of all. Definitely going into those houses was miserable. They smelled horrible, and you would walk in and you would find a refrigerator on top of the bed in the master bedroom, and you would find the bed stuffed into the laundry room, and you would find washing machines that had floated into the living room, and the refrigerators are notorious, and we've all heard and we all know, and it's the moving them out of the houses into the debris piles in the front is a very, very tedious experience. We got quite good at it, but it doesn't matter how good you get at it. We duct tape the hell out of them, chain them, do whatever we could. But once you tilt that back on that appliance dolly, stuff starts running out of the bottom of it, and it smells so awful. It's miserable. I remember moving a chest freezer that had 200 pounds of shrimp in it before, and it was a month and a half after, and unfortunately it opened. And I remember pulling a refrigerator that had a turkey in it that went projectiling into one of our volunteers, right into her chest. And poor Kathy, she was this wonderful tobacco farmer from Kentucky, and I never heard someone swear like that in my life. I mean, and it came shooting out of the refrigerator. It barreled into her chest, and it was the filthiest thing you ever saw. So, and the mud that we would go into houses that would have, 2 feet of mud that has septic mixed into it and things. And so the mud itself was extremely toxic and smelled horrible, and we would have to shovel all of it off the floors. And those were the houses that we would always be, falling on our asses because you're wearing rubber boots. And if you got out of one of those houses falling on your ass only once, you were like, only once. Or, everybody covered from the back of their head down to their heels in this grime and filth. And, and then you would have the wonderful 87-year-old World War II vet who said, my wife's jewelry box is in there somewhere. Can you please try to find it? And we're just kind of raking and combing through these piles of mud and crap and looking for her jewelry box. And we had an amazing success rate of finding asked for items. That was something we were all really determined about. And I had good volunteers who couldn't take some of it. It was too gross and disturbing for them, and a lot of them would be the ones that I set on those tasks and said, just walk around and look and try to find stuff. And they were very thorough and great about it. It's amazing. But cleaning out all the cabinets with all the food in it and maggots, and it was filthy work. But once you got it down to sticks and sprayed it and pulled all the nails and everything was ready to go again, you felt like you'd accomplished a miracle. It's pretty amazing.
What it meant to a homeowner, the situation with FEMA regarding debris and how far it had to be from the roadbed and so forth, and what it meant to somebody to have someone demolish their house for free.
Or clean out their house for free.
Well, specifically with regard to demolition, because the burners are mostly doing demolition work.
Right. I think the estimated cost on some of the house demos were as high as $60,000 and $70,000. I think some of them were higher. They were higher than that. So if you wanted, which certain individuals did, they hired private people, not Army Corps of Engineer, anything, because they were so far back in the queue to come in and demolish their houses and paid a lot of money. There were other people who tragically paid money to have individuals to come in and clean and gut their houses, and they charged them as much as $100 a square foot. So a number of elderly people fell into this and paid all of the money that they got from their insurance, which the insurance thing was a nightmare, but to have someone just clean and gut their house, which we were doing for free. So imagining paying, huge sums of money to have your house torn down when there was someone out there who came and knocked on your door and said, we'd like to do this for you and we'd like to do it for free. People were absolutely touched beyond, moved to tears often. I mean, it was just having a moment like that when you're in complete and total despair. You're absolutely sure that you're going to have to look at this pile of shit in front of your house, and you're going to have to look at this wrecked house of yours from your little FEMA trailer next door to it for a year or more. because you couldn't afford to pay to tear it down, and because you were